Hello everyone. So in amino acids and proteins topic part 1 and part 2 lectures, we have discussed about the what are amino acids and what are the structures of 20 amino acids which are required for our human body, and then synthesis process of amino acids different from different methods. After that we have discussed about the physical properties of amino acids like dipolar nature, amphoteric nature, zwitterion, isoelectric point and all those things. So in this part 3 lecture we are going to discuss about the physical properties of chemical properties of amino acids, and then peptides, proteins, structures of proteins. So let us move to the topic. So chemical properties of amino acids, as we know that amino acids are consisting of two functional groups. One is carboxylic acid group and amino group, right? So here as two functional groups are present, so there are two types of reactions would be there for the amino acids. So one is amino group reactions, means in some reactions which are shown by amino group only, and carboxylic acid group reactions, means some reactions which are shown by carboxylic acid group. So these two group reactions comes under the chemical reactions of amino acids. So first we'll discuss about the amino group reactions. So here amine group, right? So that is RCH, COOH, NH2 as amine group is there. So this amine group which is there in amino acid is similar behavior like a simple common amine, right? So the first reaction is reaction with alkyl halide, that is RX, right? So this amine NH2 amino group will react with alkyl halide, right? So one hydrogen from this NH2, and halogen from alkyl halide will leaves as HX, and there is a bond formation between this nitrogen and alkyl group, right? That is alkyl substituted amine is formed, right? So here the reaction between amino group and alkyl halide, so there is a bond formation between alkyl group and amine nitrogen, right? This is what is the reaction with alkyl halide. Next is reaction with acyl halide. This is also similar kind of reaction like this, right? So here that is amino acid, the amino group, right here, that is R C double bond O X, that is acyl halide, nothing but halide which is formed from the carboxylic acid, and again the same reaction will happen. The hydrogen from NH2 and halogen from this acyl halide will leaves as HX, and then this forms. So there is a bond formation between this R C double bond O and NH, right? This is NH C double bond O R dash, NH C double bond O R dash is formed here. So here this is like amide bond formation, that is R1 C double bond O NH. So amide bond formation as takes place with the reaction with acyl halide. The next reaction is with HNO2. As we know, amines when reacting with HNO2 it forms alcohols, right? So here this again the same thing. Here the amino group of amino acid will react with HNO2 in the presence of H plus, and that is converted to OH group. So means, so in the place of NH2 hydroxyl group would be there. This is the reaction with HNO2. The next one is reaction with NOCl. So here when this amino group, that is NH2 group, is reacted with NOCl, so there is a Cl minus substitution takes place. So here in place of NH2, so you will be getting Cl, that is chloride ion is substituted in the place of NH2. So that is the reaction with NOCl. The next one is reaction with 2,4-DNF or 2,4-DNFB. So that is nothing but 2,4-dinitrophlorobenzene. So this is called Sanger's reagent, that we will discuss later, right? So when this amino acid is reacting with Sanger's reagent, or that is nothing but 2,4-DNF or 2,4-DNFB, 2,4-dinitrophlorobenzene. Now the same thing here, the one hydrogen from NH2 group and this fluorine will leaves as HF, and then there is a bond formation between this benzene ring and amino nitrogen. So there is a bond formation between NH and dinitrophenyl group, 2,4-dinitrophenyl group, right? So this is the reaction with 2,4-DNFB. Next is deamination reaction. So deamination means removal of NH2 group, right? So this amino acids, so when these are treated with HI and red phosphorus, so then the NH2 group leaves as ammonia. So then there is a formation of carboxylic acid. So this NH2 group removal takes place, that is deamination reaction, which takes place in the presence of HI and red phosphorus. So that it results carboxylic acid formation. So these are the reactions of amino group of amino acids. The next one is reactions of carboxylic acid group. So right, so this is the second one, right? So here the first thing is esterification reaction. So as we know, carboxylic acids when reacted with alcohols will form esters, right? Here also in the same thing, the carboxylic acid group of amino acid is reacted with alcohols, that is R dash OH. So then here the OH from carboxylic acid, and H from alcohol will leaves as water, right? So there is a bond formation between C double bond O and alkoxide ion, C double bond O and alkoxide ion, resulting a ester formation here, amino ester formation here, right? So amino acid, carboxylic acid group is reacted with alcohols and forms esters. So this is a esterification reaction of carboxylic group of amino acid. The next one is reaction with diazomethane. So when carboxylic acids are treated with diazomethane, then there is a formation of esterification reaction takes place. So that is nothing but with reacting with diazomethane, that is CH2N2 will result a methyl ester. So the methyl group is added here to the carboxylic acid group, right? So here this is amino acid which is reacted with diazomethane, and then there is a C double bond O, OCH3. So esterification has done. So methyl ester is formed here, right? Now the next is reaction with ammonia. So like carboxylic acids react with ammonia and forms amides, as we know. So here also the same thing, carboxylic acid group of amino acid is reacted with ammonia, and there is a removal of water from OH from here, OH from carboxylic acid and H from ammonia, and then those two things leaves as water, and then there is a bond formation between C double bond O and NH2, then C double bond O NH2. This is a amide formation reaction. This is the carboxylic acid group reacting with NH3. So the next one is reaction with SOCl2. So as we know, carboxylic acid when treated with SOCl2, so then there is a formation of acid chloride. So here also the same thing. So when carboxylic acid group of amino acid is reacting with SOCl2 and forms acid chloride. Next is decarboxylation reaction. So as we know, when carboxylic acid treated with sodium hydroxide and calcium hydroxide and then heat, so then this carboxylic acid group leaves as CO2, right? Here also the similar kind of reaction takes place in the amino acids. So amino acids are treated when treated with sodium hydroxide and calcium oxide in the presence of heat. So then the decarboxylation takes place. This carboxylic acid group leaves as CO2 and resulting a amine formation, that is primary amine formation takes place. This will be there as a primary amine, right? This is called decarboxylation reaction, right? The next one is reaction with ammonia. Of course, we have discussed earlier. This is the formation of amide, right? So when carboxylic acid group is reacted with ammonia, then OH and H leaves from here, then there is a formation of amide, that is C double bond O NH2. C double bond O NH2 takes place, right? So these are the reactions of carboxylic acid group of amino acids. So first we have discussed about reactions of amino group, that is NH2, and next is reactions of carboxylic acid group, right? Now the next one is test for amino acids or reaction with ninhydrin, right? So when how to identify whether a compound is a amino acid or not can be done through the reaction with ninhydrin. This is nothing but test for amino acids. So when amino acids are treated with ninhydrin, this is the structure of ninhydrin. So they form a purple color complex. They form a purple color substance, so that we can identify the amino acid through the ninhydrin. And when proline is treated with this ninhydrin, it forms yellow color, because as we know the structure of proline is a containing secondary amine group. So that's why proline will give yellow color in the ninhydrin test. So all amino acids will give purple color when treated with ninhydrin, and proline will give yellow color. This is the structure of ninhydrin. So observe here what kind of complex is formed when amino acid is treated with ninhydrin. So amino acid is reacting with 2 moles of ninhydrin molecule, and it forms a complex structure substance which is in purple color. So this nitrogen in amino acid will bind to the ninhydrin molecules in the structure of complex substance. So this is in purple color, right? So this ninhydrin test is used for the identification of amino acids. Means if compound forms purple color, so we may observe that this given compound would be amino acid with ninhydrin. So the next one is as we know the structures of serine and threonine, right? So this is the structure of serine, which is consisting of alcohol group additionally, and here also threonine is also consisting of additional alcohol, right? Means along with the carboxylic acid and amine group, this serine and threonine are containing one other functional group, that is alcohol OH group, right? So these two are separated through the haloform test. Means serine and threonine are separated through the haloform test. So because as we know the haloform test, right? So the haloform test will be given by the secondary alcohols which are attached with methyl group, right? So here threonine is containing the secondary alcohol group and which is attached with the methyl group automatically. So this threonine will give positive haloform test, means it forms haloform. So that's but serine will not give any haloform test, so that these two can be separated through the haloform test, right? Serine and threonine are separated through the haloform test. Threonine will give the haloform test because it is consisting of secondary alcohol group which is attached with methyl group. The next one is lactams. So what are lactams? So as we have discussed about alpha amino acids, beta amino acids, gamma amino acids, and then delta amino acids, right? So here in the case of gamma and delta amino acids, so there is a cyclic formation takes place. So because as the long chain is there, so that gamma hydrogens, delta hydrogens are available, then so when those are heated, so there is a water molecule will be removed by reacting the carboxylic acid group with amino group, right. So here just observe this example. So this is a gamma amino acid, right. So this is COOH, this is a CH2, 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 NH2. So here amino group is attached to the gamma carbon, so that's why this is a gamma amino acid, right. So here in this case this is alpha carbon, beta carbon, gamma carbon, right. So here the reaction between amino group and carboxylic acid group means within the molecule, within the amino acid molecule, the reaction takes place. So right, so here OH from carboxylic acid group, one hydrogen from amino group, one hydrogen from amino group will leaves as water, and then there is a bond formation between this NH2 and C double bond O. So then there is a bond formation between this NH and C double bond O. So then resulting a cyclic amides. So these are cyclic amides, that is C double bond O NH bond is called amide bond, right. So resulting a cyclic amides. So this kind of cyclic amides are called as lactams. Cyclic amides are called as lactams. So here gamma and delta amino acids forms lactam. So when gamma amino acid forms a lactam, that is called gamma lactam. When delta amino acid forms a lactam, that is delta lactam. So cyclic amides formation takes place when these are treated with heat. So that cyclic amides are called as lactams. The next one is so when a 2 moles of any amino acid is reacted with each other, or 2 molecules of amino acid are treated with each other in the presence of heat, so then water molecules takes place from carboxylic acid OH and amino hydrogen. Then there is a cyclic structure formation takes place like this. Just observe here, this is one amino acid and this is another amino acid, right. So here amino acid hydrogen and carboxylic acid OH group leaves as water, and here also the same thing, amino hydrogen and carboxylic OH group leaves as water. Then there is a cyclic amide is formed, right. So this is called diketopiperazine, diketopiperazine, right. So means in the preparation of peptides, this diketopiperazine nothing but a cyclic amide also is one of additional product which is formed, but that is a not desirable. So that we will discuss in the synthesis of peptides, right. So these diketopiperazine are cyclic dipeptides which are formed when 2 molecules of amino acids undergoing for reaction. These can be formed as side products in the synthesis of peptides and proteins. These are undesired compounds which are formed in the synthesis, right. This is what about diketopiperazine. The next one is peptide bond formation, right. So when 2 amino acids, so when whether it may be similar kind of amino acids or different amino acids are reacted each other, right. So will undergoing for a condensation reaction. So then there is a formation of dipeptide would be formed. Dipeptide would be formed. So observe here. So here that is, this is one amino acid, that is NH2 CHR COOH, and this is the second amino acid, that is NH2 CHR2 COOH. So when these two are undergoing for reaction, so then there is a water molecule leaves from the OH group of carboxylic acid and hydrogen from amino group, right. So here carboxylic acid group will reacting with amino group. So the carboxylic acid group of first amino acid is reacting with amino group of second amino acid. So resulting water will be removed so that a dipeptide is formed. A dipeptide is formed, right? So that is NH2CHR dash R1 C double bond O, and here NHCHR2 C double bond OH, right? So this C double bond ONH bond is called as peptide bond or amide bond, which through which amino acids are connected each other, right? So this C double bond ONH bond is called peptide bond or amide bond. So this is formed when the carboxylic acid group of first amino acid is when reacted with amino group of second amino acid. So then resulting a dipeptide, right? So here one very important thing is the carboxylic acid group of first amino acid is reacting with amino group of second amino acid, second amino acid. So because for example, if we want to prepare a dipeptide, so when these two are added, then what will happen? There is a another reaction will also possible. The second amino acid carboxylic acid group may react with amino group of first amino acid. So then the resulting another dipeptide, that is second dipeptide may be also formed. So that's why this is one of the important thing we have to remember, that is the carboxylic acid group of first amino acid is reacting with the second amino group of second amino acid. This is the dipeptide formation. So just observe here, when 3 amino acids are there, that is a tripeptide. So this is first amino acid, this is second amino acid, this is third amino acid. These 3 are attached with peptide bonds, right? So here one peptide bond, another peptide bond, that is tripeptide. So when 4 amino acids are there, that is tetrapeptide. So when 5, 6, above 10, it may be like n number, so that is called a polypeptide. So it's a polypeptide. So observe here the structure of polypeptide here. So this is NH2CHR CONH CHR N, right? C double bond O NH CHR COOH. So here n number of amino acids which are attached each other with amide or peptide bond. So here if we observe a polypeptide, okay, so like this, so the amino group of first amino acid is free group, which is not reacting with any other carboxylic acid group, right? So here this amine group, as amine group is free for the first amino acid, so this terminal is called as N terminal of polypeptide chain, right? So where the amino group is a free group, then that is called N terminal for the amino acid. So this first amino acid which is having free NH2 group is called N terminal amino acid, and the last amino acid which will have a free carboxylic acid group, that is called C terminal amino acid, because the carbon atom is free here. So that's why this is C terminal amino acid, that is COOH, which is there for the reactions, right? So this is N terminal and this is C terminal. So observe a nomenclature of peptides, right? So just observe here, this is glycine, that is NH2CH2 COOH is reacted with alanine, that is NH2CH3 COOH, right? And then again with glycine, right? So this is a tripeptide. So here the how to write the name of peptides. So this is the tripeptide. The first one is glycine, next is alanine, next is glycine, right? So the name is like this: glycyl, alanyl, glycine, right? So in the name of polypeptides, the only last amino acid, nothing but C terminal amino acid name would be there, remaining all are YL suffix would be there. So glycyl alanine glycine, glycyl alanine glycine, gly ela gly or GAG. This is the name for this tripeptide. Like this we can write any name for any kind of peptides, right? So the name followed from the N terminal amino acid to the C terminal amino acid. First I will write N terminal amino acid, then we will move towards the C terminal amino acid. This is the writing of name of peptides, nomenclature of peptides. So this is one of the example. Next is peptide synthesis, right? So how to synthesize peptides, right? So just now we have discussed how to form a dipeptide or peptide bond formation, which we have discussed just now, right? Just observe here. So here when two amino acids are reacted each other, so then the first the carboxylic acid group of first amino acid is reacting with amino group of second amino acid, and then this OH and OH leaves as water, and then there is a bond formation between C double bond O and NH, that is C double bond O NH, resulting a dipeptide. So this C double bond O NH bond is called a peptide bond, right? So here this is the formation of dipeptide. So if we want to prepare a dipeptide, so we have to add two amino acids, and then we have to make reacting each other, right? But for example, so when we add two different types of amino acids, so two different amino acids, so then it results four kind of dipeptides, because four types of dipeptides would be formed, because for example glycine and alanine we have added each other. So we have added each other, and then we are making them react each other. So then what will happen? So there is a formation of dipeptides like this, right? So glycine may react each other and forms gly, right? And alanine may react each other and forms alanine, that is ela. So first glycine react with alanine, then it forms glycyl alanine, that is gly ela. First alanine may react with glycine, so then resulting ela glycine, right? So when two different amino acids are reacted each other, there is a four types of dipeptides are formed. So this is undesired, because only we required only one kind of dipeptide, either it may be glycine alanine or alanine glycine. So remaining all three are undesired products which are formed here, so that our reaction process would be difficult. So now what we have to do, right? So what we will do is, so to get a desired amino acids, we use protecting groups, that is PG. So by using protecting groups we will get the desired amino acids, right? So protecting groups, initially we are attaching to the N terminal amino acid, right? So for example, if we want to prepare a dipeptide, right? So that is, dipeptide means two amino acids are there. So one is N terminal amino acid and another one is C terminal amino acids. So first to prepare that peptide, so we will take N terminal amino acid first, then we react with that with a protecting group, right? So here this is the N terminal amino acid, that is we are reacting with protecting group. So this protecting group will attach it to the amino group of this amino acid. Now what will happen? This amino group is protected. So means the first first amino acid is reacted with protecting group, so that amino group of first amino acid is protected, means it is it may not react with anything. So now what we will do is we'll add the second amino acid. Now so there is a reaction between this OH because and this hydrogen from amino group. So then water will be removed from this process, and then there is a amide bond takes place in between the first and second amino acids. So here the cross reaction may not happen because this nitrogen, this amino group is will not react with the carboxylic group of second amino acid, because that nitrogen is protected with protecting group. So that will be not reacting with any carboxylic acid groups, right? So by resulting a dipeptide formation. After that we will remove the protecting group, so that results a desired dipeptide would be formed. So this is the importance of protecting groups to prepare a desired dipeptide. So what kind of protecting groups that we are using for the synthesis of peptides, right? So that is BOC or TBOC, that is called tertiary butyl oxycarbonyl, tertiary butyl oxycarbonyl, this is the formula, right? So this protecting group is used when while removing the protecting group we will use TFA, that is tetrafluoro acetylene. Tetrafluoroacetic acid is to used to remove the tertiary butyl oxycarbonyl group for the protection of removal of protection group. And next is BZ, that is a benzoyl group, and BZL, that is benzyl group, and CBZ, carboxybenzyl group. So these all are the protecting groups which we are using to protect the amino group of N-terminal amino acid, so that we will be getting a desired dipeptide, right? So just we will go for one example, synthesis of glycyl alanine. So we have to synthesis glycyl alanine. So means here the glycine is the first amino acid, alanine is the second amino acid, right? So here, so N-terminal amino acid is glycine, C-terminal amino acid is alanine, right? Now what we will do is, so we will take that N-terminal amino acid is right, that is glycine, and we will react with that glycine with a protecting group, that is PG, that is here I am reacting with TBOC, that is tertiary butyl oxycarbonyl chloride, right? So here this hydrogen from amino group and Cl from TBOC will leaves as HCl, and then this TBOC will attach to the amino nitrogen, that is TBOC, which is attached to the amino nitrogen. This with this we have protected the amino group of glycine. So right, so this amino group would be inactive now, that will not react with any carboxylic acid groups. Now this is reacted with SOCl2, and then there is a formation of COCl here, right? So carbonyl chloride will be formed, right? So now whatever the chloride we are formed is reacting with next amino acid, that is second amino acid, and then the HCl will be removed from the chloride of carbonyl chloride and hydrogen from the amino group. This Cl and H leaves as HCl, and then there is a bond formation between C double bond O and amino group of secondary amino acid, second amino acid, right, resulting a dipeptide with protecting group, dipeptide with protecting group. So here glycine is the first one, next one is alanine, right? So when we use TFA, that is tetrafluoroacetic acid, so then this will the protective group will be removed, so then resulting a glycyl alanine dipeptide, right? So we got the desired dipeptide, that is glycyl alanine. So in this we have protected the amino group of glycine with a protecting group, that is TBOC, tertiary butyl oxycarbonyl. That amino group will not react with carboxylic acid, then hence it may not give any other dipeptides. So only desired dipeptide would be formed. So this before, if we want to prepare a tripeptide, now what we will do is, before removing the protecting group, so we will react this dipeptide with another peptide, with another amino acid, then that will result a tripeptide, and it goes on. So that tripeptide which is having protecting group will react with another amino acid, it may form tetrapeptide, then go for pentapeptide, like that. So after getting the desired peptide, then we will remove the protecting group by using protecting group removal agents. This is the synthesis of a dipeptide by using protecting groups. Next one is structure of proteins, right? So as we know, proteins are the polymers of amino acids, nothing but which are containing large number of amino acids which are attached through the amide or peptide bonds, right? So polypeptides with a molecular weight more than 10,000 are called as proteins. So just observe here. So here NH2CHR, C double bond O, NHCHR, N, COOH. So here N number, a large number of amino acids which are attached with amide bonds or peptide bonds. So this is a polypeptide and nothing but a protein, right? So here this is N terminal amino acid, this is C terminal amino acid. So in this protein, so how we will know the sequence of amino acid? So that is the important thing, because if the sequence changes, then automatically the properties are the characteristics of particular protein will change, right? So identification of C terminal amino acid and N terminal amino acid continuously will give the amino acid sequence in the protein. Yeah. So by using Sanger's reagent, previously we discussed that by using Sanger's reagent we will identify the N terminal amino acid. So what is Sanger's reagent? So Sanger is a scientist. Scientist has identified amino acid sequence in insulin. For that he is awarded a Nobel Prize, right? So what is Sanger's reagent? Sanger's reagent is 2,4-DNF or 2,4-DNFB, that is nothing but 2,4-dinitrofluorobenzene. This is the structure of 2,4-dinitrofluorobenzene. So here Sanger's reagent will react with the N-terminal amino acid, so that N-terminal amino acid can be identified with Sanger's reagent. So just observe here, this is a polypeptide or nothing but a protein. So this is Sanger's reagent. So when Sanger's reagent is reacting with this protein molecule, and this react with the N-terminal amino acid, Sanger's reagent react with the N-terminal amino acid, and this fluorine from Sanger's reagent and hydrogen from N-terminal amino group will leaves as HF, and then there is a bond formation between this phenyl group and amino group, and phenyl hydrogen, that is 2,4-dinitrophenyl will be attached to the N-terminal amino group, and then by hydrolysis, so this 2,4-dinitrophenyl group will take the N-terminal amino acid, that will be separated, and remaining all amino acids will be hydrolyzed in the protein, right? So that N-terminal amino acid would be attached to the 2,4-dinitrophenyl group, so that it will be identified easily. So by using 2,4-DNF, we will nothing but Sanger's reagent, we will be identifying the N-terminal amino acid. So right now, how to identify C-terminal amino acid? So C-terminal amino acid can be identified by using carboxypeptidase A. Carboxypeptidase A is an enzyme which can be used to identify the C-terminal amino acid in the protein. So it's a digestive enzyme, right? There are some other enzymes which are breaking the protein structure. So for example, pepsin enzyme. So pepsin is an enzyme which breaks the protein structure before the basic amino acid. So in a protein structure, there are n number of amino acids are there. So when we use pepsin enzyme, so that breaks the amino acid sequence before the basic amino acid, And another enzyme, that is trypsin. Trypsin is also an enzyme which breaks the protein amino acid sequence at after any basic amino acid. After any basic amino acid, the trypsin will break the sequence, right? Pepsin will break before basic amino acid. Trypsin will break the chain at after basic amino acid. So you just observe here example here. So I have taken a pentapeptide. So that is ELA, gly, tryptophan and leucine. Alanine, glycine, tryptophan and leucine. So here tryptophan is the basic amino acid. So just observe here, by using Sanger's reagent, so you will identify the N-terminal amino acid, that is alanine. By using Sanger's reagent, you will identify the N-terminal amino acid, that is alanine, right? Next, pepsin. As we have discussed that pepsin will break the protein sequence before basic amino acid, right? So here just tryptophan is the basic amino acid. Now what the pepsin will do, the sequence will break here, that is resulting a tripeptide and a dipeptide. So ELA, gly would be one tripeptide, and as a resulting here the bond breakage takes place, then tryptophan and leucine is a dipeptide would be formed. So pepsin as the breaking the protein sequence at before basic amino acid. The next one is trypsin. Trypsin will break the protein sequence after basic amino acid, right? So here resulting a tetrapeptide and a monopeptide, that is leucine. So this is the applications of Sanger's reagent, pepsin and trypsin enzyme to identify different kind of amino acids which are present in the protein sequence. The next one is structure of proteins. So proteins are the complex molecules because which are having a large number of amino acids which are attached with peptide bonds. So as these are having a large number of amino acids, so automatically the structure of proteins would be very complex structure, right? So proteins will have four different types of structures. So those are primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure and quaternary structure. So four types of structures are there for the proteins. The first one is primary structure. So primary structure is the simplest form of protein, and it is a simple structure. It is nothing but a simple sequence of amino acid which are linked together. So every protein has a unique and order of amino acid sequence. Just observe here the primary structure of protein, just simple sequence of amino acid. This is N-terminal amino acid, this is C-terminal amino acid. So these all are amino acids which are bonded with each other through the peptide bond. This is the primary structure. The next one is secondary structure. So secondary structure of secondary structure of proteins will have two different structures. So because of coiling or folding of polypeptide chains will give the 3D shape of secondary structure. So here in the secondary structure two different kind of polypeptide chains will be interacting with each other because of the hydrogen bonding interactions, so that the coiling or folding takes place. So when coiling takes place resulting a alpha helix structure, when folding takes place resulting a beta helix sheet or beta sheet plate sheet structure would be there. So here the secondary structure of protein will have two structures. One is alpha helix. This alpha helix would be formed because of the coiled spring structure of polypeptide chains, and these two polypeptide chains will be interacting with hydrogen bonding. So this is the alpha helix structure of secondary structure of proteins. Next one is beta helix or beta plated sheet. So here this beta plated sheet would be formed because of the folding of polypeptide chains, because of folding or plated structure of polypeptide chains. So this is nothing but a sheet like structure or sheet type structure. So there is hydrogen bonding interactions between the two peptide chains, two polypeptide chains. So this is the beta plated sheet structure, like a sheets. This is beta plated sheet structure. This is secondary structure of proteins. Next one is tertiary structure. So here tertiary structure is a comprehensive 3D structure of polypeptide chain. So there are several types of bonds and forces which are present in between the polypeptide chains. There are different kind of interactions are there in between the polypeptide chains. So this is the tertiary structure. So observe here there are 4 or 5 different kind of polypeptide chains which are bonded with different kind of interactions. So those interactions would be hydrophobic interactions, or it may be hydrogen bonding interactions, ionic bonding interactions, or it may be covalent bonding interactions for alkyl groups of cysteine. So those are nothing but disulfide bridge. So with this different kind of interactions, so different kind of polypeptide chains are resulting a tertiary structure of proteins. Tertiary structure of proteins. Next one is quaternary structure of proteins. So this structure is a very complex structure, and which is a macromolecular structure of proteins which are formed by interaction between the multiple polypeptide chains. Multiple polypeptide chains. There are 10-15 polypeptide chains are there. So those 10-15 polypeptide chains are interacted with different kind of interactions. So because of the interactions results in a quaternary structure. This is a very complex structure. So quaternary structure is consisting of different kind of polypeptide chains. So each polypeptide chain is referred to as a subunit. So a quaternary structure of polypeptide, nothing but this quaternary structure may have similar kind of polypeptide chains, or nothing but subunits, or different kind of subunits. So for example, hemoglobin is a example for a quaternary structure of proteins, right? So this multiple polypeptides are interacted with hydrogen bonding interactions, or hydrophobic interactions, ionic bonding interactions, or it may be covalent bonding interactions, or it may be electrostatic interactions. With this different kind of interactions, so this multiple polypeptide chains will attach each other, so that resulting a complex quaternary structure. This is what is the quaternary structure of proteins. So here there are 4 kind of structures we have discussed. That is primary structure, that is simple sequence, that is single line structure of proteins. Next one is secondary structure. Secondary structure, there are 2 peptides or polypeptides interacted with each other and resulting a alpha helix or beta plated sheets, that is secondary structure. Now the third one is tertiary structure. So in the tertiary structure, 4 or 5 different kind of polypeptide chains are interacted with each other and forms tertiary structure, and then multiple 10, 15, 20 like that polypeptide chains are interacted with different kind of interactions, resulting a complex quaternary structure of proteins. This is what is the structure of proteins, right? So in this amino acids and proteins topic. So we have discussed about what are amino acids, what are the 20 amino acid structures which are required for the development of our human body, and what are essential and non-essential amino acids, what are acidic, basic and neutral amino acids. After that we have discussed about the preparation methods of amino acids, right? So in that from alpha halo acids, malonic ester method, thalidomide malonic ester method and Strecker synthesis. After that discussed the physical properties of amino acids, and those are zwitterion, amphoteric nature, dipolar nature, and next is isoelectric point. After that we have discussed about the reactions of amino group and carboxylic acid group of amino acid, then lactams formation, next is ninhydrin test. After that peptides. So what are peptides, how to synthesize the peptides by using protecting agents, and then proteins, what are proteins, what are the different structures of proteins, primary, secondary, tertiary and quaternary structures. So with this proteins topic is over, so that amino acids and proteins topic is completed. Thank you.